going on, guys? It's 4:25 in the afternoon, Saturday, the 7th of June, 2025. My dog is driving me crazy today. We were John C. Roseman, California. Yes, well, she's my older fuss budget, and she demands only not as much as I'm going to give it to her. For a long time in my lifetime, I laughed at the idea of the deep state idea. I laughed at the people saying about the conspiracy theories and everything else. I thought they were a joke. I thought, it couldn't happen here. I've been a royal fool and idiot because I'm seeing it happen right before my eyes, and it's not one side of people that we're trying to focus on because that was what people are telling us to focus on, but it's really the ones throwing out the light at us or at the topic, saying that I'm showing you the deep state when actually they were the deep state. I kid you not on this one. Because right now, we got Trump face, or trash bag anyway, as I call him. He's signed up with a company called Palantir. Data security, mining, cybersecurity, and all that sort of fun stuff. And it's going to be up to their job to get every damn aspect, digital and non-digital, into a database where he can use. I'm seeing news stories popping up left and right on this one. You can do a Google search on this one and it'll show it to you. And this is terrifying as hell. I typed in Palantir, P-A-L-A-N as in Nancy, T-I-R. And it came up with their home ed thing. But I also went into the news areas. And this is where we're spitting out a hell of a lot of stuff. From Benzinga via Yahoo Finance about 4 days ago. Trump administration silently employs Palantir to gather personal data of each American. Motley Fool. Will Palantir stock trounce Nvidia in the second half of 2025? Mashable says, what is Palantir, the secretive tech company behind Trump's data collection efforts? Palantir CEO warns U.S.-China AI race, artificial intelligence race, will have one winner, urges West to keep up. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Artificial intelligence, everyone kept trying to race for that damn thing, including Musk and every other billionaire tech company out there wants this shit going on. Artificial intelligence. And now in order to have artificial intelligence, we must have everything and hand it over. We must have our own personal data. Only the thing is, when I kept trying to tell people later on, or actually earlier on in my earlier videos, as I kept trying to analyze this stuff my own self, is the more we give out information to social media, the more information that's going to be used against us. I warned and cautioned people, and I know that I have to live by that caution too, that social media is the zeros and ones equivalent of an old-fashioned cork board where you're putting up messages, postings, whatever. Yeah, whatever's above us. Anything and everything that you think is personal that you want people to know about yourself, you put it out there on social media, and therefore you're open season, including me. Including me. I have to be saying about that one too. So Palantir is supposed to be taking up all the zeros and one information we got, all the bits and bytes, electronics, pictures, sound bites, videos, audios, God knows what else we put out there. Our own fingerprints into a database where it can be tracked, where it can be located, where you can be labeled. Now, this isn't new. This concept isn't. What? Oh, she's coughing up. Hold on. Yeah, that dog of mine worries me a great deal. Okay. Uh, I was going to mention about J. Edgar Hoover and McCarthy of back in the 1950s. Now, J. Edgar Hoover, according to resources, this guy was a college graduate, and he joined the federal government to create the FBI. Or actually, from what Wiki was telling me about this one, it was an American attorney and law enforcement administrator who served as the fifth and final director of the Bureau of Investigation and the first director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. President Calvin Coolidge first appointed Hoover as director of the Bureau of Investigation, BOI, the predecessor to the FBI. And in 1924, after 11 years in the post, Hoover became instrumental in founding the FBI in June of 1935, where he remained as director for additional 37 years until he passed away in 1972, including serving a total of 48 years, leading to both under different presidents. He also expanded the FBI into a larger crime-fighting agency and instituted a number of modernizations to policing technology, such as a centralized fingerprint, file, and forensics laboratories. He also established and expanded a national blacklist, referred to as the FBI Index or the Index List. Now keep in mind, they're doing that. There are things said against him from what he was doing. There is always a hint and accusations about Hoover trying to do a secret government agency or a secret police force. I'm not quite sure if he was still during that time for civil rights and due process, but Truman said Hoover was transforming the FBI into a secret police force, and it was mentioned somewhere they wanted no Gestapo or secret police. FBI is standing in that direction. They're dabbling in sex life scandals and plain blackmail. Hoover would give his right eye to take over, and all Congress and senators are Congresspeople and senators are afraid of him. And because of Hoover's actions came to be seen as abuses of power, FBI directors are now limited to one 10-year term, subject to extension by the U.S. Senate. But at this point, I'm not quite sure what they're going to be doing at this point for the rest of it. They have a lot of things going on with the FBI that some people are not too keen on, and FBI is still part of the Department of Justice and still under Trump's thumb, not independent anymore. So they are part of the ICE gang when they do their raids. So what a former president back then had worried about is coming to pass. And this was the scariest damn thing. I mean, there's a lot of information in Wikipedia about him that poured out like crazy and what the legacy of him would have been. Unfortunately, Harry Truman back in the 50s was afraid of him. And he was the one saying that Hoover transformed the FBI into a private secret police force. It turned into Gestapo. Well, I'm wondering how the Department of Justice is going to be handling this Palantir situation where a private entity is going to be gathering all of our data. And it's going to be at the hands of the President of the United States and Department of Justice that we are supplying this. And it was bad enough back in the 50s as well, when we had the communist hunt, basically, in the Cold War, that the anti-American party, or actually anti-American, either Congress or Senate panel, was set out to find those in power, private or public, and submit them to questioning of whether or not they are true Americans and true patriots. Again, this is a way of doing it by using the zeros and ones. And it was coming. This was coming. It was talked about that in different congressional meetings and different sessions throughout the decades since we had computers doing the networking with each other, that eventually there was going to be a database, or maybe even prior to that there was going to be a database nationalized. There was always talk about that. I even heard some of the conspiracy theories from other people, and I laughed it off. Now I'm not so sure that they were right or not. I think they were right. But every time I kept looking at the social media, I didn't suspect until later on down the road, when I started to have suspicions about it. Copies of other sites just to get other likes or do something nefarious, maybe fishing for information. It could be happening the same thing to us and we don't even realize it. We have to run to cybersecurity companies to protect our identity and handing things over to them. Otherwise, we're going to get locked out because of something will be sent over to us while we click on a link or a picture, and then all hell breaks loose. And then we're locked out, and either we pay or we don't. And then we have a useless piece of equipment. Or worse off, if someone will turn the damn thing on back on again, it doesn't work. And what about the data we have already lost, unless we've already backed it up already? And did we or did we not back up that damn virus file? Malware, whatever they would call it. There's a lot of computer terminology out there, a lot of geek speak, word salad, of what it means to have something corrupting your data and making you unable to get to it and turning your computer into junk. Unless you pay these guys, whoever's got your computer, and not hostage actually. But that's not the hostage I'm worried about as much. No. It's bad enough I have tax information that they can find out. And okay, there's a lot of jobs I had, and they've got figures from a lot of withholding reports and tax files I've sent in throughout my lifetime. Just recently, the state of California actually sent me an acknowledgement letter saying, yes, we received your information for this year. You know what the weird part about this one is? This is the first frickin' letter I got from the state of California from the Franchise Tax Board thanking me for filing. All throughout my lifetime, when I'm seeing my mother trying to do the taxes for a lot of people, never had I heard or paid attention to when the state would file a thank you letter. This is the first. So now they've got my information. But what about the other information? What about the medical? Now, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in that time period, we actually had a federal law passed, the HIPAA, Health Information Privacy Act. Something similar to that effect, anyway. So basically, telling people you want my medical information, you talk to the patient, or you talk to the caregiver, or whoever's got the power of attorney, and you get authorization for it. And if not, on you. Of course, they have to go through the courts on that one to get the authorization that's necessary. But it's a way of protecting someone's health information. Basically, if I'm telling people, and I know I've been telling people openly, and they can understand I'm a nut job. I've been telling them about therapists and confessions and stuff. So they know I've got mental and physical health issues. They can go into the state and find out through workers' compensation records if they have legal authorization to do so to see how bad I am. And if that wasn't bad enough, Now, was there any legal filings? Is there any legal records? Well, there may be some. I just don't tell people about it. That may be on public record. I don't know. But I'm not telling people about it. They don't like it. I don't give a shit. But there are other things out there that are... I'm just keeping an eye on my dog. That's why I'm looking at the off camera here. Making sure she's walking okay and doing okay. And she hadn't stepped in anything weird. Be a hell of a cleanup for me to do around here. Well, we are talking about invasion of our privacy, isn't it? They didn't ask too many questions, but they should have back in the 50s when McCarthy wanted to see if everybody is American or not. And are they American thinking and believing and under that kind of mindset? Well, now we got the Trump shit going on. About 80 years. Roughly about 80 years. So Hoover and McCarthy, Joseph McCarthy, I think, is the name of him, would be laughing their asses off in the underworld. That Trump finally managed to do something that they couldn't have because of technology. Because of artificial intelligence we have right now that we're lending things over to make our lives theoretically great again. Hello, Skynet. Or Colossus, for that matter. Colossus, the Forbin Project, a 1970s movie you guys might want to watch. Or, even better than that, 1984, if you can find it, or find a book and read it. Thought Police. And how would they figure about Thought Police? As I said before, we have an electronic cork board. If you guys are into the 20th century technology or 19th century technology, it's this processed wood pulp smeared and formed into this board. We can take stick pins and put things on it, pictures and anything else that the stick pins or staples could hold. You'll find them in offices when they actually had them a long time ago. The way people use them for communications for company or personal or other things. I know, these days we have electronic crap going on. But this was outdated technology. But think of it. If you want to Google the image, go ahead. Google the image, what the damn thing looks like. We still have them out there. We still have stick pins. We still have index cards. We still have paper products to plaster all over the damn thing, to make our ideas known to people, to make the pictures visible to people, to put our letters and whatever kind of... Excuse me. That was uncalled for. to make everything known to people. Only that we choose to put it up there to make it public. And understand, once it's made public, you can't take it down because it's already been seen by the public. Just like the zeros and ones we keep posting up there every single time. Every time we go on social media accounts, posting our thoughts and images and feelings and everything else on there. We are feeding the zeros and ones, the algorithms, everything and anything about us. The memes with the funny things and sayings on there, or the ugly things and the ugly pictures. About people's health conditions, mental and physical. About our own thoughts and feelings being torn apart by things happening outside of us or inside of us. Our own video clips of things happening around us we saw or we witnessed or were witnessing or whatever. Keep this in mind. We are feeding Trump all this shit because he wants all that information under his fingertips. He wants to see who's loyal and who's not loyal. That's why he's going through Palantir on this one. Or Palantir, they call it. But this is what's happening. You know, I used to look at shows concerning about the federal agencies being the good guys. Now I can't see them that way. Because how Trump's using that and utilizing that. And how the visualizations are concerning about what we think of these guys are being good guys are forced, either by choice or by no choice at all, to do Trump's bidding. We have done this to ourselves. We have done this to ourselves. That being said,